what's going on, guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. Hopefully by now you guys have had a chance to check out loads of the awesome gameplay. We've uploaded a ton on the channel. I streamed the other day from the Borderlands gameplay reveal event. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But today, given that there is so much information out there on all the new stuff that we're seeing in Borderlands 3, I thought it'd be fun to round up some of the most noteworthy stuff and talk about 6 of the biggest changes that we're seeing in Borderlands 3 so far. So if you guys do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys have enjoyed seeing so far in the gameplay, what's really stood out to you. And of course, if you haven't entered our giveaway for a chance to win the awesome content creator pack from the guys over at Nerd or Die, the link to that is in the description box down below. And we've got plenty more Borderlands gameplay coming your way. I'll have loads of things for you guys to watch next week, plus a really awesome interview, so if you don't want to miss that, don't forget to turn on notifications. Now, kicking things off at number 1, of course, we have multiple planets. In Borderlands 3, we are finally leaving Pandora and we are exploring multiple different locations. Now, when I was at the gameplay reveal event, I had a chance to explore Promethea, which is an incredible looking city. However, that is not the only place we will visit. Now, they did, of course, mention in previous interviews that some planets may be larger than others. It's not necessarily going to be a case where every single planet is going to be equally as massive, but either way, we will be visiting multiple destinations throughout the game. In fact, when they are playing through, we saw on the galaxy map, we saw the 2 locations to begin with, but they did say that list will expand as you play throughout the campaign, so I'm incredibly excited to see just how many places we get to visit. And on the topic of that, of course, in order to visit places, you need a spaceship, and Sanctuary 3 is now our hub in Borderlands 3. It's an incredibly awesome spaceship, and honestly, as a space, it is just so awesome to see. You can see how much passion and effort has gone into it because there are so many different sort of design elements inside that hub, but that is basically going to be our home throughout the game. You can interact with NPCs there, you can go and buy upgrades, you can go and use a firing range, you can go and reclaim items that perhaps you forgot to pick up when you were out. When loot dropped, you can grab that from the vending machine. There's so much to do on this place, and there's even aspects that you can customize. You have your own rooms where you can go in there and you can customize what you put on the walls. You can save some of your favorite weapons that maybe you've out-leveled, but you just still really like it. You can even go and visit Hammerlock, and you can go and check out the trophies for when you've killed creatures around the world. Basically, Sanctuary 3 is not just a spaceship that's going to take you from point A to point B, it is going to become your home in game, and it's a place that you are genuinely going to really care about. So, safe to say, there's a lot of places to explore in Borderlands 3.
Don't look at me like that. I'm doing all the wheel work here.
Moving on from there, we of course have all the different brands, the brand loyalty, and their alternate fire methods. Now, I spoke about this briefly before we got a chance to go hands-on with the game itself. They spoke about how different weapons perform differently. Some of them have alternate fire modes, some of them have alternate options. For example, Vladof weapons have underbarrel attachments, so you can switch from an assault rifle to a grenade launcher. Things like the Maliwan weapons can switch between different elements, which is incredibly useful because if you're in a situation where you're fighting something that is perhaps resistant to the element you have, you can then swap to something that is more useful. You have weapons like the Children of the Vault ones, which don't actually have ammo, they just have a heat meter, so provided you can manage that, you can effectively fire indefinitely. You have the Atlas weapons that can then fire off these little tracking pucks, and then you can just shoot into the sky, and your bullets will home in on a location, which is kind of handy if you're not that great when it comes to shooting. Point is, every single weapon has some kind of alternate method, whether it be an alternate fire method or an alternate behavior or something that is unique to that brand. And I did actually try and sort of find a little bit more out during the interviews, which you guys will hear more next week when we upload it, but it does sound like there is more to that brand loyalty than just liking your brand. It does sound like if you are investing more into a brand and you are actually using more of it, then there will be benefits. We don't actually have all the information just yet, but do stay tuned for the interview next week and you can hear the answer for that yourself. Point is, lots of awesome weapons, and now I've had a chance to go hands-on with them, they do feel incredibly awesome. Moment-to-moment gameplay in Borderlands 3 feels fantastic, and honestly, TDR weapons are still my favourite. I have never got bored of throwing weapons and seeing them sprout legs and run after the enemies. However, moving on from there, we of course have loot instancing. Now, this is an optional thing for Borderlands 3. Emphasis there on optional. You do not have to do this, but it is still actually really cool to see how it was implemented. For those of you that don't necessarily want to play in classic mode and you don't want to risk having someone steal your loot, then there is the option to play in the newer mode, the loot instance mode. When you're in this, then the loot that you see on the ground is for you, and then the loot that your teammates see will be unique to them. That means that when you're playing through, you don't have to worry about somebody swiping your loot. And to take it one step further, if you're then playing this with a teammate or a friend who is either a higher or a lower level than you, then this instance method also ties in with the new level balance or the level sync system, whereby people at different levels can play together, but instead of having somebody just boost you, if you wanted to actually play through and all enjoy the challenge together, then you can all benefit, because the way that it works, we saw this during the presentation, effectively when you're playing through, you will see enemies relevant to your level. So if you're a level 30 player, you will see the enemies as level 30, the loot that drops for you will be level 30, and if you're then playing with someone who's like level 5, they will then see the enemies as level 5, they will do damage that is equivalent to level 5 damage for their enemies, they will get level 5 loot, and of course the level 30 player, their damage is then balanced for the lower level player, but the point is it means that you can then play through together as if you were leveling together. So it means that if someone happened to play all day while you were at work, then it's not going to be a case of you just jumping in and then them boosting you through by killing everything in one shot. They can then play through as if you were doing it together. So it's actually a really cool system, but again, it is optional for those of you that do want the classic Borderlands experience, which is going to be the one that I want, because I do still want to be able to swipe loot for my friends. You know, it's kind of got to be done.
Why are you the way that you are?
Then that is still available. The classic mode will allow you to play as you would before, and of course then it also means that if a higher powered character comes in, they can still boost you. So traditional Borderlands is still there, but there's also this new experience if you want it. Now moving on from there to the next point, of course, player movement, sliding, mantling, climbing, all of this has been improved in Borderlands 3. Yes, you can slide, you can see your feet when you're running around the battlefield. If you want to slide behind cover, you want to slide and do some stylish kills on your enemies, you can definitely do that. You can mantle and you can climb onto different surfaces, so if you miss your jump, you can then climb back up. And what's really cool is actually when you take a look at the level design for this, they've obviously built the levels and the stages with mantling in mind, because sometimes there are actually some secret locations that you can go to or you can access. If you pay attention for it, typically, say throughout the level, then there's sometimes some yellow paint to depict like an area that you can mantle, and if you sometimes follow those, they may actually lead you to some rather interesting locations. In fact, when we were playing through and exploring Promethea, there was actually a location where if you climbed up to the top, there was a secret vehicle there which you could then get into, you could then deliver it, which would allow you to unlock some more parts. So the point is, with this new system in place, there's actually going to be a lot of incentive to go around climbing things to try and find things that are off the beaten track. Then moving on from there, we of course have the advanced environments. In Borderlands 3, cover is degradable, so gone are the days of this diamond hard cover where you can just hide behind a rock and people can pile bullets into it and nothing happens. Now, if you do actually actively fire bullets or throw grenades towards cover, you can degrade that cover and you can gradually break it, meaning that if enemies are hiding behind it, you can actually start wearing that down, forcing them to either move or giving you a chance to actually just break through it and deal some damage if they are a pesky target. There are also other things that you can destroy as well. Sometimes you will see things high up, there might be pipes that you can shoot, which will then spray down a different element, which you can then set on fire. There are these awesome barrels all around with all the different elements in that you can then melee to sort of send them flying. You can shoot them, they will then explode with the respective elements. And during the live stream, they actually got a pretty stylish kill where they used the barrel to kill the boss. So there's a lot of fun to be had with this, but basically there's a lot more to the environment now. It's actually a lot more reactive to what you, as a player, are doing. And then of course, finally, you guys probably saw this one in our videos, but the way that action skills work in Borderlands 3 is a little different in that you have access to them from the very beginning and you have access to 3 of them. When you start the game and you've worked through the kind of initial tutorial flow, you can equip the one that you want and you can then change this on the fly whenever you want. There are still of course 3 different trees, you spec down them, you can then spend your points accordingly depending on what you want to spec towards, but the action skills are all unlocked from the very beginning, meaning you have them to try out, you can swap them depending on your encounters, and of course in select situations, like Zane, he can actually equip 2 of them by sacrificing his grenade, so on the action skill front, there's a lot more scope to mess around with in-game. Anyway, for the time being, that's pretty much it. There's of course a lot more stuff to speak about, and there's lots of new stuff that I do still want to do videos on, so again, do keep it locked if you guys are hyped for Borderlands 3, because we've got a lot of stuff coming your way. But for the time being, that was a look at some of the new stuff, some of the big changes, some of the noteworthy changes coming in Borderlands 3. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the end game store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here, but once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.